Welcome to another episode. What do you think about feelings? According to my opinion, the feeling is some kind of a summarization that was processed by a large amount of unstructured data, or the other hand, a feeling is an approximation of large size of unstructured data. These feelings are generated by the feeling brain. The feeling brain is the most powerful processing unit of the human brain. The feeling brain is always unconsciously or consciously gathering information from the environment through sensors and processing it all the time. Just think, if you go to a strange place, you feel scared even if there is no reason to be afraid. This feeling is created by your feeling brain. The feeling brain will gather all data from your sensors that are exposed to the environment. Then based on the gathered data it will show some direction to the thinking brain. That approximated direction is the scary feeling you have. Then thinking brain will search based on that previous feeling, whether there are any dangers or threats. If there is no danger, the feeling brain will know about it and get rid of that scary feeling. Have you ever wondered what would happen if we lost our feelings and will for things? Early days people think, the reason for every failure and every broken down moment of their lives is these emotions. And people think that if we can be 100% rational, we can be successful. Or getting rid of these emotions will help to stay focused on something or help to get successful decisions. Based on the previous idea, people found a way to disable the feeling processing unit of the human brain. This psychiatric treatment is called a lobotomy.
My guess is he can look forward to a life of loony bin craft projects and staring out at the sea.
You think that place can hold me? You're dead, copper! You're all dead!
But all that's after the castration and full frontal lobotomy.
Wait, what?
Lobotomy is a type of brain surgery that is used to shut down the feeling brain. The basic idea was to sever the connection between the frontal lobe and the limbic system. And that method was invented to help people who are suffering from mental illness. Perhaps this can be the most brutal, barbaric, and infamous psychiatric procedure in history. There were different approaches to this surgery. In 1935, Portuguese neurologist Antonio Moniz conducted the first lobotomy by drilling a hole in the patient's skull and then injecting absolute alcohol into the frontal cortex to damage brain tissue. It was called leucotomy. He was awarded the Medical Nobel Prize in 1949 for developing the technique. Then shortly after the invention of leucotomy, an American neurologist named Walter Jackson Freeman modified this surgery's procedure by introducing the use of a surgical tool instead of injecting alcohol method. Also, he called this lobotomy. At the beginning, similar to the basic surgical procedure, this one also had to make a hole in the patient's skull. Then using the surgical tools did the rest of the process. This is called a prefrontal lobotomy. After all of this, the prefrontal lobotomy was not very efficient. It was very messy, and time-consuming due to the drilling process of the patient's skull. Freeman was able to find a way to make this operation more efficient than ever before. This was called transorbital lobotomy. In this case, he changed the way to reach the patient's brain. That means reaching the brain through the patient's eye socket instead of drilling into the skull of the patient. A specialized surgical hammer and an ice pick-like surgical instrument called a leucotomy were required to perform this procedure. More commonly known as the ice pick lobotomy. Earlier used transorbital lobotomy took nearly or more than an hour, but this technique reduced it till 10 minutes or less. There were many mental patients who suffered from depression and tried to commit suicide. These neurologists believed these symptoms were caused by overactive emotions. So, the surgery reduced the ability to feel the emotions of the lobotomized person. Very few of them survived the entire process and a significant number died afterward. Also, some people got serious injuries during this surgery. Those injuries included internal bleeding to the brain, brain infections, cognitive impairment, and damages on eye socket. But after the surgery, the survivors did not seem like normal people, but they lived normally and calmly without suicidal feelings. But they also had some noticeable shortcomings like personality changes, emotionless behaviors, and extreme shifts in mood. In addition, some of them suffered physical disabilities and were unable to perform at least basic daily tasks. At that time, lobotomy was fatal in some cases due to these critical conditions of the lobotomized patients. Therefore, lobotomy is no longer performed and has been banned. Every human being contains a feeling brain and a thinking brain. When we make a rational decision using some kind of data, that decision is generated by the frontal lobe, which we call the thinking brain. So, if we keep making rational decisions, our brain gets tired. This work cannot be done continuously. That's why anyone cannot be 100% logical. If someone is 100% logical, that person has to think too much to do a simple task. But the feeling brain never gets tired. The feeling brain is the most powerful processing unit in the human brain. Without the feeling brain, the thinking brain cannot do its assigned tasks on its own. Because the thinking brain does not have enough processing power compared to the feeling brain. Often the thinking brain makes decisions based on the feeling processed by the feeling brain. This means that not everything can be done using the thinking brain, and we need feelings. Comment below on the mistakes I made in this video and also your valuable ideas. Thank you.